we in the French Embassy have been working a lot on these thematics as well. As some of you have heard, May Hackathon, it was done last year and the previous year. It's been done with the Malaysian universities, and I'm very happy and proud that the teams that were selected here in Malaysia, when they went to France to the big final, the world final, the first year the Malaysian team arrived first out of 12, and the second year they arrived third, which is a very, very, very good score, which marked the investment that you've been doing in talking about these thematics, but also the research work, the students' hard research on these thematics and how important it is. And we know we can do more, and we always have to do more. We've also been working on the Game Jam Laut, which is a bit in the same spirit of young teams of researchers and students working to develop applications for telephones. This is the world we live in, but to be protecting the oceans and trying to find real solutions with database. Science-based database, because we need to be working on facts, on things, and that's your work as journalists for many of you. What can we improve? How does it work? Why is it real? It's not only thinking about what's happening, no, it's actually real evidence-based work. So that was so important. And we've been counting on you as well as journalists, because journalism is not about only discussing about things happening like this, but linking the dots, as Benoit has written in my speech. I like this image of how does it make sense? How does everything that's happening in our lives make sense? Be it a political event, a cultural event, or things as serious as environment. Environmental issues need to be explained, needs to be reported, not only as, oh, there's been a big flood at that point, but what is the impact on people? Why did it happen? How can we prevent it from happening again? Are we doing everything we can? Is everybody aware of the just we must do, the way we can change our lives to be more resilient and also to prevent things from worsening? So this is very important, the work you've been doing last week, the work you are doing as journalists or activists or civil society or students is so important for us. As you know, France is deeply engaged in global environmental diplomacy, and we're very proud to be co-hosting with Costa Rica soon in Nice, the UN conference on oceans. Malaysia is a maritime country. You don't need to explain how important oceans are. We're talking here about trying to figure out how we can have a global governance of oceans. 10 years ago in Paris, you will remember we had the Paris Agreement. This was a huge landmark. It helped have a governance of the environmental issues. We want to achieve the same kind of things with oceans, and that's why we want to make UNOC a founding moment for the oceans. In the same spirit, it cannot only be governments, it needs to be governments, international organizations, civil society, private companies, big fundings, everybody working together. And again, awareness, talking about the topics is absolutely fundamental to this. We need to be, to manage to have increased financial flows, but we need, again, to talk about these topics, to make them, it's not about, oh, this is going to, it's something that some people are discussing about. No, we cannot be climato-sceptics on these thematics. And I think Malaysia, again, when it comes to oceans, plastic pollution, we're very well aware of that. Through the Nice conference, what we want to do, again, as we've been doing with our activities, accelerate scientific discovery, knowledge, mobilize financing, plus ensure the adoption of international policies. We want to protect biodiversity, lifestyles of coastal communities. We'll be happy that Malaysia participate. Unfortunately, you've changed minister, or your minister will not be going to Malaysia will be represented by the ambassador of Malaysia, and I know many other people are going to go to Nice. One of the most important of the decisions we want to be taken in Nice, or we were dreaming of having, is the BBNG Treaty, the High Seas Treaty. It has been adopted, it's been a long time work, 20 years of negotiation. Now what we need is not only to have the text signed, but ratified so it can enter into force. We've been working, France, Costa Rica, but we've been discussing with Malaysia as well to try and get as possible, highest possible number of countries. So this is a moment in Nice, in UNOC, we can say, here it is. If it doesn't work, it will be for September, but we'll keep on pushing. And last but not least, you're here in the Alliance. We're trying to work with the Alliance and with all different kind of partners to be working on different events. So just for you to know, we will have on the 12th of June an Innovation Day. It's not only about environment, but innovation can also be about environment. You're obviously all invited if you're interested. You know, Benoit, you can come and see. It will be about navigating technological frontiers. We think it's another thematic that is very important. The impact of artificial intelligence on our lives is, we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg, as in many other topics. And so we will be doing it with French companies. We have research and training people coming abroad, and we have and we have also alumni. That is the people who studied in France. This is a very important network, and we want to make it alive and bring more knowledge in. The opportunity of having moments like this one, very pleasant. We can have a drink and we can exchange, have questions, discuss, make new friends and new connections to share our ideas. And last thing, we will have a Planète Mer, so the planet's sea in Kota Kinabalu. For those, we had teams coming from Sabah last time, the Jam Loud. So from 16th to 17th of June in Kota Kinabalu, on the sidelines of the UNOP conference, we'll be having different activities with schools. We're trying to mix as well students learning French in public schools in Malaysia with the conscious about what's happening in our environment, how can we be working together. So we'll have public secondary school students learning French, working on upcycling workshops, exhibition on the theme of the oceans, making a mural, playing track game, etc. Working again on how do we transform facts into research, into results, into consciousness, and we want to be doing this with Malaysia. So thank you again, and now we will have a little film and then gimmick, but thank you again so much for being here tonight.
Uchafuzi wa plastiki.
Beat plastic pollution.
Let's beat plastic pollution.
Combater a poluição plástica.
Beat plastic pollution!
Plastic pollution is one of the most urgent environmental crises of our time. It's in our rivers, oceans, food, and even in our waters.
But this is a crisis we can fix.
速战速决，对抗塑料污染。
Acaba con la contaminación plástica.
The world is close to agreeing on a treaty to end plastic pollution.
Beat plastic pollution.
Help get the treaty across the line. Make your voice heard.
Plastic pollution.
My name is
Beat plastic pollution.
World Environment Day, so thank you for the French Embassy for this invitation, also the EU delegation. I think it's also a good link with the speech of Virginie from the French Embassy, because plastic pollution is also very relevant in terms of ocean governance. So just to give you a bit of background, I think the idea of big plastic pollution is not just a slogan. The idea is really to call for action. And you, as the media community, you are the one also to be able to relay this call for action. So that's why it's also important for the media to be involved in these environmental campaigns. So plastic pollution is not just an environmental issue, it's also a health issue, it's also a development issue, and at the end of the day it's a human story. And the media, you're the one telling stories, you're the one informing the public. So it's important, the way the stories are told are very important. How often it happens, how clearly it is, how urgent it is. This is how the media could play a big role in environmental campaigns. And for the campaign on beating plastic pollution, this is also key, trying to build up on the momentum of the UN Ocean Conference. So it's not just about the problems, right? The good news is that there is currently a lot of work being done, and there are solutions. So for Malaysia has already taken steps into publishing the roadmap towards zero single-use plastic. And there's a lot also of community activities towards recycling or reducing waste, as well as beach cleaning and so. But at the end of the day, media to really push forward, really ensure more enforcement, more innovation, and so challenge institutions and the private sector to be proactive and achieve the end of plastic pollution. So as it was mentioned during the video, at the UN level, at the United Nations, we are not only communicating on it, but we are working with member states, with governments, to work towards a legally binding agreement to end plastic pollution. So this is also something that will be discussed a lot next week in Nice during the Ocean Conference, but also preparing for some stronger negotiations later this summer in Geneva. And that will be the first legally binding agreement on plastic. So that's a big achievement the UN is working on, and we count also on the media to really help provide visibility and benefits of such agreement. So yeah, so I don't want to take too much time. Once again, happy World Water Day. I think if you want to come back from this evening with 3 or 4 main messages for the media community, I would say first, keep broadcasting lights on plastic pollution, and not just the downstream impact, like the waste itself, but also the whole value chain, because plastic is not just at the end of the beach, it comes from somewhere. And if we want to reduce plastic pollution, we have to work on the whole value chain. Second, and especially when I said broadcasting light, is also making the invisible visible. Because now we're looking also a lot of microplastics that enter our body through food and drinks, and this is something we don't see, but this is something that needs to be also talked about and highlighted. Second messages will be give a voice to communities. They are the ones that know better what are the impacts on the local ground, right? So bring them forward. What are the impacts, and what are the innovative actions that can be put, that can be implemented on the ground? Because this is small actions that can catalyze more systematic solutions. And then the third aspect would be challenge us. I work at the UN. Challenge us. People that work in the government, challenge them. Private sector, big industries, challenge them. At the end of the day, everybody is accountable for what they are doing. And at the end of the day, we need to be motivated not only by our institute or organization, by the external public. So the media, you have a role in that sense as well. So let's just remind us that the World Environment Day is one day, but beating plastic pollution is an everyday commitment. Thank you.
Thank you.